to another episode of Kenny's Cantina, Eating in Style on the Road. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're finding my website helpful in the RV kitchen and enjoying the recipes. Before we get started, I wanted to point out that I am recording the show at different RV parks around the country. Sometimes the Wi-Fi and cell coverage can be a little sketchy. This may impact the audio track from time to time. So should an episode have some glitches, understand that when you're on the road, some technical difficulties can occur. Also, depending on internet coverage, sometimes there's a lag to when I can upload shows. So thanks for understanding. 2020 was challenging for all of us. We all had to adopt and make adjustments. I was lucky in that I had the fall off from my professor job. But now my sabbatical is over and I'm back to the professor duties after 7 months on the road. Over that time, I pulled my rig 7,700 miles, put 14,000 miles on my truck, passed through 25 states, and produced 13 episodes of Kenny's Cantina. Along the way, I met many interesting people, enjoyed time with friends, both new and old. Now I'm back to my day job, hunkered down for winter camping and counting the days to my summer travels. I'm optimistic about 2021, and I'm starting off my second season of Kenny's Cantina. Thank you for joining me for my first season, and I look forward to you riding along for season 2. Today we're kicking off season 2 with my Smokey Yum Yum Sauce. This is a great, easy recipe, no cooking involved, just stirring. So I think you're going to enjoy it. I started making this sauce when I was in New Orleans this past fall, and it turned out to be a great hit around the campground. People started putting it on all types of dishes. Yum Yum sauce is found as a dipping sauce in Japanese steakhouses, but it's also much, much more. My Yum Yum adds a flavor complexity of smokiness that takes the sauce up a notch. Yum Yum sauce is easy and quick to make. Add pop to the variety of dishes. It was really popular on peel-and-eat shrimp and crab cakes. Be creative about what you add it to and enjoy this versatile sauce. So let's start off. Prep time for this, about 10 minutes. It doesn't take too long. And it'll serve 4 to 6 people. I keep it stored in the refrigerator for up to a week. The ingredients you're going to need for this is 1 cup of mayonnaise, 1 tablespoon of ketchup, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, 2 teaspoons of roasted garlic rice vinegar, and 3 tablespoons of water. So to start off making the dish, we're going to start off by adding the mayonnaise to a mixing bowl. Let me dish out the mayonnaise here. Fill up my measuring cup. Let me put that into the mixing bowl. Next thing, I'm going to take the ketchup, shake it up good so you don't get that watery. Fill up the tablespoon. Let me add that. I'm going to stir that, mix that up into the mayonnaise. I'm using a spatula to mix all these ingredients in. All right, let's add the garlic powder. And put that in. Let's stir that. And like all my dishes, I kind of like to stir after every ingredient. It kind of mixes everything up real good. Spreads that flavor around. Let's add the onion powder. That in. Stir. Okay. Now my smoked paprika. I love smoked paprika. Smells so good. So let's put that in. And let me stir that. Now you notice that when I add the paprika, it really darkens up the sauce. Later, when we add the water into it, it'll lighten it back up. So don't worry that it looks really dark right now. All right, now let's get the cayenne pepper. Just a hint of this. Just gives it a little more spice. Mix that up. So I'm going to get my butter and put that into, I put it in a little tumbler glass. Let me stick that in the microwave. And I'm going to set that. I'm going to let that run for just about 20 seconds here, and that should get it melted. So I like to use Irish butter. I like the richness of it. Costs a little more, but I think in the end, it's pretty well worth it. It adds a lot better flavor. All right, microwave's done. Pour that butter in there and stir it. And adding the butter thickens up the sauce some at this time, and it also makes it a little more darker in color. Okay, next let me grab my vinegar. So I use a rice wine vinegar with roasted garlic. It adds just a little more garlic flavor to it, gives it a little tang. I got that in there. Let me stir. Okay. Now let me wipe off that spatula. For the next step, I'm going to switch to a whisk for stirring it up. So what we're going to do is add the water to this. Water in. Okay. I'm going to take the whisk, start mixing this really well. So adding that water thins the sauce, and it really starts to lighten up that color. So it kind of gets a pale orangey color. All right, let me grab a spoon. And let me get a little taste of this. That is so good. It's very rich, which comes from the butter. And you can taste that garlic and onion in it. There's a little tanginess from the rice vinegar, a little bit of heat from that cayenne. And then the thing that really makes it pop is the smoked paprika. It gives the whole sauce a smokiness that really sets it apart from other yum yum sauces. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this, get the spatula out again. I'm going to transfer this into a Tupperware, and I'm going to chill this for 30 minutes. What that chilling does is it helps the yum yum sauce blend all those flavors together before you serve it. Put it in the refrigerator. Okay, and I'm going to let that set. So after the 30 minutes, serve it and enjoy it. You and your guests are going to love it. Now, I've included some serving recommendations with this recipe. You can enjoy the yum yum sauce in a variety of ways. Here's just a few recommendations, but hey, be creative. It goes well on numerous dishes. So the first one, this is the first way I served it when I first made it, was serve it on top of stir fry. You can add it as a remoulade sauce on top of crab cakes. It really is good that way. You can also use it as a dipping sauce for steamed shrimp. You can dip French fries in it. The other day I made a shrimp and bacon omelet and put that on top of it. It was really good. I like it on top of poached eggs, and I've used it as a salad dressing. It gives that salad a nice tanginess, and then throwing it on top of a hamburger just really spruces up a hamburger. And the list goes on and on. So be creative in how you use the sauce. Like I said, you can enjoy it on almost anything. Now, a few tips. Between each ingredients, I stir to better blend the flavors so you don't get pockets of more garlic and more onion. And as I mentioned, I use the roasted garlic rice vinegar just to get a little extra flavor, but a plain rice vinegar can be substituted. Key is that adding that vinegar, that rice vinegar, gives you a tang that adds a lot of nuance to the yum yum sauce. If you want a runnier sauce, You can always add a little bit more water to it to get the consistency that you would like. And I found that after it sits in the refrigerator for a few days, I add a little bit more water to thin it back up. That butter congels in it and makes it really thick. So I'll add a little water after it's been setting for a while. And then chilling that sauce prior to serving gives those ingredients time to blend. However, it's great before chilling as well. So thanks for preparing my Smokey Yum Yum Sauce with me. It's so easy to make, and the flavor is outstanding. Now let's move on to Kenny's Q&A time. My last episode was on a wild rice dressing, a great holiday side dish. The show generated some great questions, and I'm all about sharing and exploring new ideas, and your questions get me hitting the books. My show's being broadcast around the world, and it's always exciting to get questions and comments from all over. Thanks for listening, wherever you might be in this wide world. Let's get to the mail. Carol from Washington State asks, can I dress wild rice with fresh or dried fruit, fresh apple, dried cherries or cranberries or raisins to give it more flavor? I like your question. It shows creativity. Sure, you can add dried fruits to this dish. However, the fruit will sweeten the recipe some. My recipe without the fruit is more savory. If you prefer a sweeter taste, then go ahead and add some dried fruits. You can also throw some nuts in. Thanks again, Carol. Bill from New Jersey asks, should you wash wild rice before cooking? Hey, Bill, thanks for the question. The reason you wash rice before cooking is to remove some of the starch. This will help with the rice being sticky. You're more than welcome to wash your rice before using it for the dressing. I haven't had a problem with the rice being sticky, so I don't rinse it, but thanks for the question, Bill. Candace from Colorado asks, what's the best wild rice? I used to use Goose Valley and is no longer sold at retail, but is now only available to food service. It was the best wild rice I've ever eaten. Do you have a preference for brands? I was told to use Reese Wild Rice, also sold at Gourmet House Wild Rice, is the one to buy, but I'm curious to hear what you use. Thanks for the question, Candace. I've been running into a problem of finding wild rice in my grocery stores. Shopping for the wild rice for this episode, I tried 9 different grocery stores and could not find it. Wild rice is available online, and I was able to finally find it at Whole Foods. But because of the unavailability, I tweaked this recipe to use a wild rice blend. I figured if I couldn't find it, others would have problems finding it as well. When I can find it, I do use Reese Wild Rice. Thanks again, Candace. Now, Doris from Edmonton, Canada asks, can I use Canadian wild rice in your dish, or should I use a store-bought wild rice? I was told that Canadian wild rice might be a little chewier. Hi, Doris. I hope all is well in Canada. You had me researching on this question. In a previous show, I mentioned that there are over 40,000 varieties of rice. And according to my research, Canadian wild rice has the nutty flavors that American wild rice has. So sure, you can use Canadian wild rice in this recipe. Thanks again for your question, Doris, and I appreciate the opportunity to learn more about rice. Related to that, here's another rice question. Maribel from Louisiana asks, is wild rice the same as black rice? They're both black in color, so can I use black rice instead of wild rice if I cannot find a wild rice blend? So thanks for the question, Maribel. I just spent a couple months in New Orleans, enjoyed it. I love Louisiana. So black and purple rice is different from wild rice. Wild rice has a longer grain and nutty notes. So if you skip the wild rice, you won't get that nutty flavor of my dish. So try to find the wild rice. Corliss from South Carolina asks, all I can find is Uncle Ben's wild rice. It doesn't sound like gourmet rice to me. Do you think I can use it, or should I try to find a more gourmet blend? This is a very good question, Corliss. You're correct. Skip the Uncle Ben's for this dish. Uncle Ben's and other rice blends out there that come in the box is a blend of wild rice and long grain rice, and it contains a seasoning packet. I found that there's not enough wild rice in those blend boxes to give the flavors that I'm looking for. So look for a better blend that contains more wild rice and skip the boxes. Thanks for the question, Corliss. As always, these are great questions. I want to thank all my viewers and fans who took the time to cook with me and have taken the time out of their busy day to drop me a note with a question or a comment. The show's getting popular with tens of thousands of viewers for each show, and I'm quite humbled by all the magnitude of the viewership. So thank you very much. I'm excited about my next show. I'll be sharing with you a dish that was suggested to me by one of my faithful viewers, Raven. I'm calling the dish breakfast s'mores. We'll be preparing a variety of s'mores that will brighten up any brunch. So join me next time for my take on Raven's dish. So stay tuned for the next Kenny's Cantina, Eating in Style on the Road. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, previous shows and recipes can be found on my website. You can now find Kenny's Cantina on Facebook, where I post additional pictures of what I'm cooking and what I'm doing in my travels. So like my page and stay up to date between podcasts. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Drop me a note on my social media accounts. Kenny's Cantina wouldn't be possible without the help of my sponsors, IBC Productions and Road Hogs Media Network. So a big thanks to them, and see you on the road.